Brought to you by GTA. We start with you.
The governor has shifted the island into P-Core 2. Businesses can now up their occupancy level, and gatherings with members outside of your family are now at 15. And with all that change, we just might see some changes to the quarantine guidelines in the near future, according to Dr. Hoa Nguyen of the Physicians Advisory Group.
The proposed guidelines that we will require the 72 hours PCR testing prior to arrival, and then the Q factor is still in place, but hopefully we can test it out a little bit earlier, just because there's 72 hours. We can test out to propose on day 4, day 5. If it's negative, you can go home for the next 7 days quarantine with the SARA alert and the Guam COVID app in place.
Dr. Nguyen says with the new strain of the coronavirus, home isolation probably isn't in the cards for those making their way from abroad.
Because a new strain of the COVID that just in the U.S., if you test positive, you will be under isolation factor for hotel for the next 10 days. You cannot do home isolation.
Wow.
That's a big change. You don't have, just because with the new strain is so much more effective, that it's a big risk for people in Guam if you do home isolation and you break the isolation at home.
On top of the proposed quarantine guideline changes, Dr. Nguyen says they've also been busy getting the vaccine to those Manumku unable to make their way to a vaccine site.
We understand that a lot of people call our clinic and request that, so we decided to put our team together, and we try our best to do it. It takes a lot of time for the staff, so we actually have to observe them at home for 15 minutes to 30 minutes. So it's very time consuming, but again, it's very rewarding. So this weekend we're going to work with Mayor Paco and get the MTM homebound folks to be vaccinated.
Being that this process is volunteer-based, Dr. Nguyen says it'll take some time.
It's strictly volunteers from my staff, so it's we just have to take one at a time. I know that we have a lot of physicians that live in Joliet, so I know Joliet will be the next one in line.
Dr. Nguyen says they'll be bringing some extra doses along for the caregivers.
When we vaccinate the homebound, we ask them, we would like to give the primary caregiver the vaccination also. So usually when we go out, we carry double the amount of vaccine, so that way we offer the primary caregiver also at home.
For those interested in being put on the list for homebound Manumku vaccinations, contact your respective village mayor. For Guam's News Network, I'm Peter Santos.